The prime directive is just to have fun. I feel like Robocop's been missing out all these years on the whole point of everything. Jeez, Robocop. So, now another 20 years goes by, heaven forbid. Scare all of the millennials and otherwise. And we finally get another Robocop game. So, while the Japanese GameCube Xbox game, which you probably don't know about because very few people seem to, was kind of okay, while noble, it feels like it was a prototype for Robocop Rogue City. And instead of like a basic Doom Quarter title, Robocop Rogue City takes these ideas and adds like an open world element and with a twist, and then extra gore and polish as well. So the game is very extremely loyal to the first two movies and kind of forgets about the third movie, but apparently they do take bits from it, but like very little. It really focuses on the first two movies on how to deliver a Robocop game. And this really helps sell this Robocop game as like the most genuine and probably arguably the best, especially the 3D ones, Robocop game to date. And Peter Weller is reprising his role as Robocop. I thought the voice acting was okay. Some people thought he seemed like he was sort of like he was just sort of reading the lines without any care, kind of like the Ghostbusters video game with Bill Murray. But I don't know. I thought he did a good job. I don't know if he does other voice acting work, but I kind of feel like he's pretty good at it. So the combat's fairly basic. You can punch or grab enemies, throw objects, gather shotguns, machine guns, rocket launchers, other weapons that sort of give a needed variety to this game, and to your shootouts. But the Auto 9 seems to be the most powerful and best overall choice, usually from what I've seen. As you progress through the game, Robocop can unlock these sort of skill points, and you develop these skills by also finding criminal evidence, fake money, and following his famous directives. So Robocop Rogue City, it gives you conversation branches like an adventure game and helps you investigate people for crimes they admit if they commit a crime, especially if you confront them, and you choose when to give a warning and when to give them arrest or otherwise say they're in trouble. So you can choose to intervene in certain situations. Robocop will say to the other person, well, that's an offense. But you then choose, okay, am I going to go light or hard on this guy? And, your decisions choose whether you get a great, good, or bad ending. Apparently there's 6 endings to this game. So by upholding the justice, protecting the innocent, and upholding the law, people view your version of Robocop differently. So your choices have a long-term effect in this game. I don't know. I've seen it affects the endings for sure, but beyond that, I'm not sure if you can't do things later if you don't support people. But having enjoyed the movies, it feels like it took a lot of the early streets, downtown Detroit streets, and merged it into a video game format for the average fan and the hardcore. Unlike the Nintendo games, the gore is suitably over the top, really not for kids, with lots of audio reacting to Robocop blowing away people's arms, legs. This is not a game for kids. You should really be an adult because, it's really over the top. And, there's even headshots that cause people's heads to explode. So it's very true to the original movie. And the ultra-violence is shocking, yet I have to admit it's remarkably satisfying as well. So I feel like Robocop is the best looking character in the game, which kind of makes sense because he's going to be in all the cutscenes, pretty much. And then from there, the NPCs not so much. The main bikers look pretty good too, but which is good because the main baddies repeat quite a bit too in this game. So there's a lot of variety in the fighting available if you choose to follow it. Grabbing enemies by the neck, flinging motorcycles, propane canisters, or even garbage containers. Levels, yeah, they're mostly inside the city, but sometimes they venture outside buildings and outdoor environments. Okay, and then the cons. So, the, unfortunately, there are cons to this game. When I first started playing, I didn't really think of them, and then as I got into the game, I saw, okay, this is why the game starts to lose some of its momentum. So there's a lot of optional side quests. I sort of skipped them because I was just enjoying the story. And the game seems mostly bug free, but sometimes there'll be a level loading. You'll see the OCP loading screen in the bottom right corner, and then it just goes nowhere. Like the screen just remains black. So there are some bugs still in the game, especially like around the middle. For some reason, the middle of the game, some of the levels, I don't know if they're too big for the engine or what it is, but for some reason, like the quarry level especially loads up in huge chunks, and it's actually really ambitious. So also the game can also feel very hard at the beginning because they've really weakened Robocop, I feel, just so that you can get the progression of and the feeling that Robocops get stronger as you go through the game. He just feels far weaker than he should be. Cannot take as many hits from punks, so your health goes back up to 20% if you just run out of medikits, pretty much. And yeah, like you just don't feel like Robocop's really dishing out as much damage. He's not taking as much damage as well until he's properly upgraded. And now, for me, where I'm right near the end of the game, because it's definitely interesting enough that you want to see the whole game. That Robocop, I feel like, is really powerful. I don't have the one-shot kills that some people apparently have upgraded Robocop to, but like he can take a decent number of hits for sure. But I feel like it's kind of a shame, like the game doesn't let you rebalance your skills. I kind of understand why, because if you rebalance your skills, it's like, okay, I want to unlock this energy unit and recharge Robocop, and then I'll reset my skills, and then I'll put them towards having stronger combat firepower. So I can see why the game doesn't let you do that, because like maybe you decide, hey, I want to be a more defensive Robocop, but the way that the game's designed, the levels are designed, it doesn't really support people switching that, because then the game would be too easy, because once you get to a boss fight, of course you're going to have more shields or extra firepower. So like it's sort of, the game forces you to live with your decisions throughout the game, not just through the conversations, but through your skill points and where you put them. So some levels I feel like look respectable. They look really good, nice and gritty streets, and then other levels I'm like, I feel like they didn't really get that extra bit of polish, and like they all fit together. It feels like there was some more effort put on some stages than others. If you try and blaze through it, the objectives involve you to find someone or something, and like it's after a while, if you're just playing this for a while, it sort of feels like you're all blurring together, and it gets really repetitive because you're just like going down a corridor, and kind of like Doom, but it just feels like you're doing the same thing. You go into a room, bunch of enemies, go to the next room. You don't really find keys so much as like just plot points. Yeah, it kind of blurs together. Ends up with Robocop just shooting enemies really endlessly, which is kind of fun. I mean, this what the first movie was kind of about. Just Robocop taking out all the trash. Without doing much else to break up this repetition. So Rogue City really feels like the Robocop game that was made with care by fans, for the fans of the series who happen to make games for a living. While I really enjoyed the game and I felt oddly compelled that to see everything, the $80 price point, like I really wanted to play this game, so I dished out the money. Some people are complaining it's like a $30 game dressed up and selling for $80 game. I feel like it's very rewarding. I feel like if you are a fan of the series, even a minor fan of the series, you're gonna enjoy this. It's kind of like being in a movie in some ways. With all my criticisms, I feel like Robocop is like a sleeper hit from last year. It's like a guilty pleasure. It's like you go home, you spend an hour playing Robocop, and you know, all is good. And even then, like even with the graphics and the video game mechanics, it does feel a little bit outdated. Not just the graphics, but it's a tried and true FPS game for sure. And it's given me like over 10 hours to 15 hours that I don't regret spending in this game. Like there's a lot of games where you invest a huge amount of time and it's like, okay, now the game's getting good. I feel with Robocop, like right away, everything feels like this is a Robocop game. I would even go as far as saying like this is one of the best licensed games since GoldenEye. I would even say that. Alongside the Terminator FPS. Even if we never get another RoboCop game or movie, this feels like a solid way to revisit and experience like the freshness from the movies all over again, and revisit the familiar characters that are in the game. It feels like a solid length, and it's rewarding for a player. I feel like gives it a chance, like just plays it rather than just say, "Oh, this looks a little bit dated." I feel like it's one of the finest games of last year. Like it really was a sleeper hit. Came out right at the end of the year, which I think was a mistake. And I'll give it 8.5 out of 10, even though I feel like it's not a game I'd play over once I finish it in the next 3-4 hours. But like, there is a new game plus if you do want to max out your RoboCop and you really enjoy it. Just to upgrade RoboCop, or like all the extra upgrades and the other unlockables you missed the first time through the game. I would just feel like it's definitely one of the best sleeper hits of the year. Watch some gameplay if you enjoy FPSs but you're on the fence. And yeah, it's a fresh twist on an old style. So keep on following the Prime directives and keep on gaming.